In this video, we're going to be talking about keyboard shortcuts inside Premiere Pro CC. And trust me, it drastically speeds up your editing workflow, so I would highly suggest incorporating keyboard shortcuts if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, we have over 60 other filmmaking tutorials that you can learn from, so subscribe to see those videos and more from us in the future. Every editor is going to have their own custom keyboard setup based on how they like to edit. There isn't really a right and wrong way, it's more about what you're used to as an editor. For example, you might be coming over from Final Cut, and that means when you're editing in Premiere Pro, it'll be easier and more comfortable to you to use the keyboard settings that Final Cut had instead of the new controls that Premiere has. So in order to get to the keyboard shortcuts, you can go up to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts. Now it looks a little bit intimidating, but you can save presets here, and once you use it a few times, it's pretty straightforward. The idea is down here, it'll give you all of the options that you can customize, and you want to go ahead and find the one that you want to customize, such as, let's say, the selection tool. And if you click beside it, it'll highlight in blue, and then from there you can press the new button, such as number pad 9, for example. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but just for the example. And then moving forward to change to the selection tool, you could use V or 9. Now keep in mind, since I've now made 9 on the number pad, the selection tool, I'm not going to be able to use that on something else unless I overwrite it. And sometimes it's hard to find certain things because they're buried deep in menus. So if you have an idea of what you're looking for, you can simply type it in. Now, if you're coming from a different editing program such as Avid or Final Cut, or if you were using an older version of Premiere, you can change it very quickly with the custom presets they have by default here, such as the Final Cut Pro 7. And another tip to help you navigate through this while you're creating your keyboard customization is you can press down on Alt on the keyboard, and then it'll change to what you can add if you're holding Alt and then pressing one of the other buttons. For example, these are the 3 I have set up. You can also press Control or Command on the Mac, and then these will show up. So in other words, when you're holding down Control, these are all the highlighted buttons that you can press to get a different option than if you weren't holding Control. And you may have guessed it right that you can also press, let's say, Control plus Shift and get a whole bunch of other options. Because the goal of keyboard shortcuts is to speed things up to make editing more efficient, being able to set up your keyboard so that your hand is in one general spot for the majority of the keys that you want to press while you're editing will, of course, make it a lot easier because you won't have to move your hand all the way across to press a different button. I've made quite a few changes, such as moving the rate stretch tool, which was on R, down to X, where it used to be in Premiere Pro a few years back. I like it down here because you have your main tools that you use quite often all beside each other. So your selection tool, the razor tool, or what used to be called the cut tool, and your rate stretch. There's also an option called Add Edit, and that'll make an edit in the footage where your cursor is. I have Alt-V as the Add Edit. I have Alt-C as Ripple Trim Previous, and Alt-B as Ripple Trim Next. So if I want to add an edit, I can simply go Option V, and then that'll make an edit at the exact time you press the button while you're playing. So as you're going, you can do this multiple times, and that works great if you want to play it and make multiple cuts as you go. And then for the Ripple Delete Previous, this is helpful when you're watching through a clip and you want to get rid of the beginning part very quickly. So it not only deletes the clip, but it also takes all of the footage after it and Ripple deletes it to the left, right up to the last edit point. And of course, Ripple Delete Next will do the same thing, but in the other direction. So it deleted the end of the clip and then Ripple deleted everything over. Because I'm on a full-size keyboard, I do have the number pad, and as you can see, I've made these 5 buttons customized to the color labels. And in my Premiere Pro organization video, I showed you how to set up color labels, and then now you can see that you can actually set the labels to specific buttons on your keyboard. So let's go ahead and show you examples of that. Let's say I like this clip the best, so I'm going to press 1 on the number pad because I've customized the 1 on the number pad to the color label red that I set up in the preferences. Then let's say I wanted this clip to blue, I would press 3 on my number pad because that's what I've set up to be blue on my number pad. So as you're editing, it makes it a little easier for organization. Instead of having to right click and then go to label and then choose them all, you can simply assign them to a keyboard button that you want. The next keyboard shortcuts I want to show you are the J, K, and L. Now, if you've been editing for a little bit, you've probably heard of these. Pretty much every single editor will use the J, K, L because you can watch things faster than real time, and of course, that means you save time and you can get a project done faster, get to the next project, make more money, and be more efficient as a video editor. So an example of this is while you're going through the footage here, you can press L to play. That will be just like pressing the space bar. But then if you keep pressing L, you can continue to keep increasing the playback speed. If you want to go backwards, it'll work the exact same as L. So JK and L is super handy, and I highly suggest you start incorporating it into your editing if you aren't already, especially if you're editing, let's say, long interview takes that are like 30 minutes long, and you're trying to figure out a way to scan through it all and listen to it. Well, if you play it back on a little faster than real time by double pressing L, the voice will sound sped up. However, you can still listen and make out what they're saying, and that means you can understand and continue to edit efficiently. Here's a few other shortcuts that will speed up your editing. If you press A, it'll change it to the Track Select Forward tool, and then that allows you to quickly select everything in your timeline to the right. If you hold Shift then A, it'll press it to the other side, so it'll select everything to the left of where you select. And now let's say we're ready to export, so we can highlight the area that we want to export, and then you can press the / on your keyboard, and that will set an in and out at exactly the frames set within the selection that you've made. From there, you can press Control M or Command M on the Mac to export your video. Alright, so there you go. Those are a few ways that I speed up my editing by using keyboard shortcuts inside Premiere Pro CC. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments section down below what keyboard customization settings you have set up that make your life a little easier while you're editing. If you're new to the channel, we have over 60 other filmmaking tutorials that you can learn from, so subscribe to see those videos and more from us in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.